Job's here.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the thruster now. So the thruster, right, the front squat to an overhead press. So first off, you want to make sure that the athlete can do a front squat in a comfortable position. So I'm going to ask Jeff to get the bar in that rack position. All right. Resting on his shoulders. Just the front squat first. We'll talk about grip in a second, right? But I want to make sure you can do a comfortable front squat, making sure his torso stays up. Making sure he's got this nice upright torso, right? That his chest isn't collapsed forward. He's going straight up and down. He has the ability to get good depth, right? No problem with the hips, nothing like that. His thoracic area is nice and tight. He doesn't do that. Okay, so if the athlete can do a comfortable front squat, then we'll talk about the thrust. Okay, so just like in the jerk, right? It's better to make sure that the athlete has their fingers around the thumbs around the bar, right? If in the thruster you gotta wait for the bar to get into your hand to finish with that press, it's not gonna be very efficient. Okay, so so the bar is gonna be on in that rack position. It's gonna be on his shoulders. However, his elbows aren't gonna be as high. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit tough to front squat that way and to get into a good pressing position. So a little bit of a drop to the elbows, not a bad thing. All right, as long as the weight is still on top of the shoulders. Okay. So Jeff's gonna drop down into that front squat, making sure he goes straight down. He's not pushing his hips back. We want to make sure that we have this nice vertical torso. All right. He drives through his heels. As he comes up, right, he finishes with a strong press. He's gonna use his legs to create momentum and elevation on the bar. Right. Bring it down. So right around that pockets area, right, we want to use that violent hip thrust to get this weight going. I don't want to segment the movement, so I wouldn't want to see Jeff do a front squat, stand up, stop, and then do an overhead press. Okay? I want to make sure that it's all one movement. So he goes down, he uses his legs, he drives his hips through. You see him bring his hips to the bar, essentially, right, and then he finishes with the press. Very important, again, that the bar finishes or it stays over the midline, all right? If it travels, the further distance it travels, the more work we're doing. Okay, so very important that it doesn't deviate from the midline, right? It's right over his shoulders, over his hips, over his heels. It stays over his hips, right? It's supported through the system. It's not out in front of him, okay? One more thing about the thruster, very important, right, that we just keep this vertical torso. It's already a demanding enough position on your lungs just in a front squat, right? But you start having your chest drop forward, all these kinds of bad things, you close that chest cavity, it's gonna compress your lungs even worse. So making sure that your elbows are driving out, right, they're not coming in, you're not rounding out your back, and that you're able to support the load in a really open position, if that makes sense. All right,